Hello, welcome in today's commodity news. We'll take a look on the brand new July report from USDA about the grains, the world markets and trade. And we'll take a quick look what we can expect from this year. And because of it, I'm gonna take a look on the directed tables as there will be a lot of changes. Well, we can also take a look right here when we can see the changes between the export and import in the current 2023-24 season. And what we can see, the Argentina and Canada is dropping export. Also, Canada has a smaller crop, which is quite surprising for probably most of the people, but the people who were following the news about the wildfires that were experienced by Canada this year, and it will be many times larger than the last year fires in Canada, which is making no surprise. Also, higher expectations from Russia. Well, that's probably because of the huge crops. Let's take a look on the data tables and we'll focus on the wheat. Is the export import, but we'll take a look on the production. What's the changes between July and June report? China, no changes. Smaller crops in European Union, and the smaller crops also in the world total, which is also quite surprising because United Nations FAO was forecasting the wheat production will rise. So we can see here that we've got drop in European Union, we've got drop in Canada by 2 million tons, which is a lot, which is more than 5%. And it's forecast month to month, and June was probably not all wildfire effects summarized in the June report, plus of course dry weather. And we've got higher production in Pakistan, 1.2 million higher. We've got lower in Argentina, no surprise, as slightly lower in United Kingdom, slightly lower in Iran, slightly higher in Egypt, and other countries also a bit higher. And United States higher. Okay, the last week's weather, the rains in the grains area and the corn belt in United States, well, that's probably help this forecasting. Well, anyway, it's not so bad. It should be fine for the market. Let's take a look on the consumption. What's the changes on the consumption? Also, take a closer look how it happens. Production drop 3.5 million tons, while the consumption rise over 3 million tons. Wow. And obviously, we've got a drop on ending stocks, also in China, so they will probably rise in the consumption. Yes, 2 million tons rise in consumption in the predictions from United States Agriculture Department, who's also is rising a lot. Well, not so much. We've got drop in Canada. The consumption in Canada drop. That's surprising. A bit higher in the United States. Okay, others over 1 million ton lower. China over 2 million lowers, 2 million lower in the in European Union. Well, slightly difference in India and less in Russia. Okay, let's take a look how the export from Russia looks like. Yeah, 1 million ton. And the production in Russia didn't change, 85 millions. Okay, the question about the Russia is about the Black Sea grain deal. It was told that they're gonna renew the contract, but this is Russia. I'm not so sure, but let's take a look how it looks on the market, how the market react on those news. And it's really surprising because, well, as you can see, I was expecting that we're gonna rise, and this report should create rising price, and it didn't. And I'm really surprised why the lower stocks, the lower production, and the high consumption, which creates a 6 million tons difference, right? 3 million less production, 3 million higher consumption, that's a 6 million total, right? Differences. And why it didn't move up? Well, I'm really surprised, and I'll be looking forward to read what other analytics will explain this, as it's really unexplainable for me, because there is no moving up, so there was no expectations like this for lower production and bigger consumption before the report, which means this market might be rigged at the moment. The market didn't take into... Let's take about... No, this is the report time candle. It's 30 minutes time frame for this wheat next contract, and wow, that's really surprising for me. Really surprising. Wow, I'm really shocked about this market reaction, and it's hard to explain why, because as we can see, the import will be a bit lower, 1 million lower, but the export will be also, of course it's the same, but the export is rising for Russia, it's staying the same for European Union, it's lowered for Canada, a bit higher for Australia, much lower for Argentina, like almost 10%. So it's really surprising me that this kind of report creates such changes. Okay, let's take a look also for another, not rice. I'm not really into rice market, so it's really hard to guess what's gonna change. Let's take a look on the corn market and the corn trade. Okay, there is a rising export and import for the corn. And who's leading? The Brazil. Of course, the Brazil will surpass another year United States of America, because they were lower in 2022-23, but it was much higher. It was higher in 2022-23 for the first time, and it's continued to be higher, even that the United States is ready to export 54 million tons of corn. So what's about the production? Argentina, no changes. Brazil, no changes. Very high amount, and they currently start collecting the corn from the fields. We've got also high production in Canada, and it's lower production in European Union. It's also a weather thing in Europe. And what else we can see here? High production in Ukraine. Well, that's really surprising, because with Ukraine and war and other things, it's really hard to say. United States, higher production, almost, wow, 1.5 million tons higher production, and it's together 2 million tons higher production. What about the consumption? Almost no changes, 0.3 million. It's no changes almost at all, and there is also 0.2 million rising number on ending stocks. So, well, how the corn react? Let's take a quick look on our charts, and the corn is dropping under 480 cents, which was ground for the candle on the 5th July. July. So, wow, I'm not surprised that corn dropped more, but I'm really surprised that wheat dropped so much. after this report. I would be expecting some other ways. Anyway, with the corn, I think we can expect that this United States corn and everything else will be dropping to the levels that we know from the pandemic year of 2020. So I think we can really expect that the corn will have to, let's move this 700. Yeah, that's really expecting that this highs here in the fourth quarter of 2020 will be a solid ground for the corn market to drop in the next, I don't know, 7-8 sessions probably. So now it's most likely about the weather in Brazil and the United States that will be focused on it, plus maybe some information from China, because the China is big enough to experience both drought in some part of the country and quick unexpected floods in other parts of the country. So it's really unstable there. So I would be recommending to take a look on the weather for China for the corn market, and I expect it will be probably falling more. So thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoy this quick look over the grains market and trade for the corn and wheat market. Please subscribe the channel, please share it with your friends, and see you on the next commodity news on macro point of view. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.